Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that the plowman shall overtake the reaper, and the treader of grapes, him that soweth seed. And the mountain shall drop sweet wine, and in all the hills shall melt. And I will turn the captivity of my people Israel, and they shall build the waste cities, and inhabit them. And they shall plant vineyards, and drink the wine thereof. They shall also make gardens, and eat the fruit of them. And I will plant them upon their land, and they shall no more be plucked up out of their land which I have given them, saith the Lord thy God.
This is just many of the hundreds of Dionysian imagery that is found throughout the Hebrew Bible, including the fact that the temple was designed with golden vines and golden grape clusters, throughout the sanctuary designed by Solomon with golden satyrs, who are the race of daemons that are led by Dionysus to battle. In the ancient Greek text, many biblical parallels and allegories are associated with the vine. The children of Israel are referred to as a vine in Isaiah 5:7, and in Hosea 9:10, Isaiah likens God to the owner of a vineyard, and Israel is the vineyard. The grapevine is one of the 7 species with which the land of Israel was blessed. Deuteronomy 8:8, an ample supply of wine symbolized prosperity and well-being, and overflowing vat symbolized divine blessing. Every man under his vine and under his fig tree symbolizes the idealized past and hope for a future peace. Threats of national disaster were couched in terms of laying waste to the nation's vines and fig trees. Hosea 2:14, Joel 1:7. The vines in blossom symbolize the passing of winter. Song of Songs 2:13, and the ripening of fruit represented a fulfilled state of being. Joel 2:22. Although the fruit of the vine was eaten fresh or dried, the plant was primarily valued for its fermented juice, which was considered an appropriate gift of royalty. A description of Israelite culture is provided by Isaiah in his parable concerning a vineyard. Let me sing for my beloved, a song of my beloved about his vineyard. My beloved had a vineyard on a fruitful hill. He broke the ground, cleared it of stones, and planted it with choice vines. He built a watchtower inside it. He hewed a winepress in it. Isaiah 5:1-2. Many ancient depictions of Dionysus are shown as a man riding a donkey. According to multiple sources, one of them which includes Menasius of Rhodes, who claims that Antiochus IV raided the Temple of Jerusalem, found within the Holy of Holies a golden donkey with a man riding on it. According to Tacitus, when Pompey the Great raided the Temple of Jerusalem, all he found within the Holy of Holies was a golden ivy diadem, a symbol of none other than Dionysus Bacchus. A coin was released by Pompey to commemorate his triumph over Judea, which displayed a bearded individual on his knees holding a branch with the caption Bacchus Judaeus. This can be translated as either the Jewish Bacchus or Bacchus from Judea. Some interpret this figure as representing Yahweh as a regional version of Bacchus or Dionysus. However, considering such coin designs usually showcase subjugated individuals rather than the deities of the conquered, others believed it might symbolize a Judean whose name was Bacchus. This figure is sometimes thought to be the Hasmonean king Aristobulus II, whom Pompey defeated. Regardless, one of the many titles of Dionysus was Yao, or Iacchus, and the Phrygians in the east called him Sabatsios, a god who was later identified by Romans as Theos Hypsistos, which means God Most High. The initial Jewish settlers in Rome faced expulsion in 139 BCE. Cornelius Hispalis, acting under a law that forbade spreading the corruption worship of Jupiter Sabatsios, banished the Chaldean astrologers and the Jews.
Gnaeus Cornelius Hispalis, praetor peregrinus in the year of the consulate of Marcus Populus Laenus and Lucius Calpurnius, ordered the astrologers by an edict to leave Rome and Italy within 10 days. since by a fallacious interpretation of the stars they perturbed fickle and silly minds, thereby making profit out of their lies. The same praetor compelled the Jews who attempted to infect the Roman custom with the cult of Jupiter Sabazios to return to their homes.
This action suggests that Romans possibly equated the Jewish Yahweh Tsevaot, meaning Lord of Hosts, with Jove Sabazios. Plutarch posited that the Jews revered Dionysus and celebrated the Sabbath as a tribute to Sabazios. Additionally, he explored the idea of equating the Jewish god with the Egyptian entity Typhon, although he later dismissed this association. Meanwhile, the monotheistic Hypsisterians revered the Most High using a name that might have been linked to the Jewish deity Herodotus, who, like I said, never mentions Israel or Jerusalem or Yahweh, does happen to describe a local religion somewhere between Mount Sinai and Phoenicia, possibly Midianite territory, who have a similar ritual as described in the Hebrew Bible, such as the priests wearing similar white and blue robes with golden tassels that are seen among priests of Dionysus and Demeter at Eleusis, and the blood oath rites, which seem to look very similar to Leviticus blood oath rites.
He is to dip his finger into the blood and sprinkle some of it 7 times before the Lord, in front of the curtain of the sanctuary.
Now compare this to the rite that Herodotus records among these local Arabians.
There are no men who respect pledges more than the Arabians. This is how they give them. A man stands between 2 pledging parties, and with a sharp stone cuts the palms of their hands, near the thumb. Then he takes a piece of wood from the oak of each, and smears with their blood 7 stones that lie between them, meanwhile calling on Dionysus and the heavenly Aphrodite.
In both cases, the blood is sprinkled or smeared exactly 7 times to seal the oath. A painting on a jar found at Kuntilat Ajrud under the inscription Yahweh of Samaria and his Asherah, dated to 800 BCE, possibly the male and female pair that Herodotus thought was Dionysus and Aphrodite. In an inscription discovered in Ein Gedi and dated around 700 BCE, Yahweh appears described as the Lord of the nations, while in other contemporary texts discovered in Kir Bet Laya near Lachish, he is mentioned as the ruler of Jerusalem and probably also of Judah. Yahweh, in the form of Yahweh, is frequently invoked in Greco-Roman magical texts dating from the 2nd century BCE to the 5th century of the Common Era, most notably in the Greek magical papyri under the names Yahweh, Adonai, Sabaoth, and Eloi. These are also used as Bacchic chants among Dionysian religious revelers at this time. Use of Yahweh becomes blurred by the usage. Since the 2nd century BCE, Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans had identified the evil god Seth Typhon, often depicted as a donkey-like creature, with the Jewish god Yahweh. The Seth Yahweh tradition, with all its negative valence, was then applied to the creator, worshipped by the Christians as well. Evidence for this view comes from the early Christian depiction of the creator and his sons in donkey or Typhonian form. The oldest manuscripts of the Greek Septuagint, Old Testament in Greek, before the church editions came in the 4th century, show Yahweh in them for Leviticus 3:27 and 4:27. These are replaced with the uniform Kyrios, or Lord, in the 4th century church codexes of the Sinaiticus, Alexandricus, and Vaticanus. I think it is very possible that we have in Yahweh a warrior, demiurgic craftsman, with ancient Bronze Age Dionysian elements passed down through the rites and traditions. Although much closer to something like Vulcan than of Dionysus, this Yahweh, the local craftsman metallurgy god of the southern Levant, became infused with El, the chief god of the Canaanites, to become Yahweh Elohim. This also puts him in direct opposition to Baal, the prince and son of El, in the northern Canaanite religion.